Welcome to B-Flow Sessions, the podcast where we help you find and stay in the flow on the water and in life. I'm your host, Brad Burton. Join me as I sit down with paddlers, athletes, and adventurers who are all seeking the flow. B-Flow Sessions is brought to you by our friends at Pecan Kayak Retreat. Are you dreaming of a Chilean whitewater escape this winter? Picture turquoise rapids, warm sunny days, and world-class rivers for every skill level, all based out of a riverside retreat built by paddlers for paddlers. If that sounds like your kind of winter, then Pecan Kayak Retreat is the place. To learn more or to book your dream kayak trip, reach out to me directly at bflowkayak@gmail.com and I'll help you get connected. Also, thanks to our partners who keep us in the flow: Dagger Kayaks, Stohlquist Waterwear, Sawyer Paddles, and Level 6 Gear. Welcome to the next episode of B-Flow Sessions. I'm your host, Brad Burton, and I am really pleased and honored to be with our guest today, a long time friend of mine and somebody who's usually on the other side of the mic interviewing people, but today we put her on the hot seat. Anna Levesque, welcome to B-Flow Sessions.
Thanks, Brad. I'm stoked to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. Anna is one of the most pioneering leaders in paddle sports industry. She's really known for her work that she does with empowering women to find, courage, flow, to overcome fear. And she's a sought-after whitewater kayak and a mental agility coach. She's the host of the Discomfort Zone podcast, which I had the great privilege of being on, but it's one of my favorite podcasts to listen to. And she is the founder of Mind, Body, Paddle. Anna is she's out there trying to change the way that we look at fear and the conversation around fear and overcoming it and what it means to be discomfortable, just not comfortable, to face discomfort in our life with grace and grit. And really what sets Anna apart is her holistic mind, body, paddle approach, where she blends nervous system regulation, mindset work, on water skill progression to help people find, just push themselves and find, balance and clarity with confidence. All that's great and what she's known for now, but to get to that point, she has to have some credibility. Anna has tons of that. She wrote the Yoga for Paddling book. She was a world freestyle kayak medalist. And this is amazing. She didn't want me to say this or didn't mention this, but she's in the Southeastern Whitewater Hall of Fame and was named one of the most inspirational paddlers alive by Canoe and Kayak magazine. 30 years of international experience, a paddler, a competitor, a coach, and now just inspires not only women, but people in kayaking, but also just in all aspects of life. So Anna Levesque, it is such an honor and privilege to have you on B-Flow Sessions.
Thanks, Brad. Thanks for that intro.
Absolutely.
I'm stoked to be here.
So, you've inspired me. My podcast, I was just like, God, there's not a lot of whitewater podcast, and yours is so amazing, but it transcends whitewater, right? Like, obviously you have a lot of whitewater paddlers on there, but you don't have to be a paddler to really benefit from your podcast. So I wanted this one to be a little bit of like whitewater adventure storytelling, but also, I wanted to, within the sport of kayaking, to kind of grasp onto some of the things that I've been inspired from you is to, helping people find flow. So speaking of that, tell us, how did you first find flow in kayaking?
How did I first find flow? Being tenacious, a lot of tenacity. I started my kayaking journey working in the kitchen of a whitewater rafting company on the Rouge River in Quebec, in Canada, near where I grew up. And that was the opposite of glamorous. And so I begged people to teach me how to boat and swam a lot and practice, was tenacious, committed. And then eventually it started coming together. I can remember my first combat roll at the very end of this little class 2 rapid on the Rouge. And I was so excited that I came up that I threw my hands up and immediately flipped over again because I lost my balance. And then I had to swim. So, finding and I continue to find, I mean, it's a lifelong journey for me. I can only speak for myself, but it's, I started to find my flow probably when I when I worked as a raft guide on the New and the Gauley rivers in West Virginia, and was on the river all the time, reading water all the time from a raft, from a kayak, just being around the river. That's all I wanted to do in my 20s was paddle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can relate to that for sure. So then how did you first then, go from working in the rafting company, hanging out in the Ottawa and the Rouge to then start exploring and getting out and traveling with kayaking, internationally and then, going on to compete at a high level and kayak at a high level?
Yeah. So I think making bold requests.
Mm,
So I remember I went to the Ottawa and this is when I was working on the Gauley and the New. So I was spending
okay.
my summers and Gauley season on the New. And then I had gone to Costa Rica in the one winter, and I was looking for another. I fell in love with Latin America. I was like, oh my gosh, people kayak all over the world. This is amazing.
Mm,
And so I was looking for my next opportunity for the winter, and we were at the Ottawa for the Ottawa Rodeo. This is 1995 or 6.
okay.
And I had heard that there was a rafting company who went down to Mexico in the winter and ran trips. And so I just like walked in and asked to like talk with the owner. And we didn't have email back then. So I can't
Right.
even remember. I think I had called them. And so they knew I was coming. And yeah, he was like, you can hop on the bus with us. There may or may not be work for you. Here's how much it costs. And I was like, I'm in. And so I had like $300 to my name at the time from like raft guiding. Oh my gosh. And like when I got on the bus to go to Mexico, and I did end up picking up work, and like from there, it just, more and more opportunity unfolded. So bold request. And then when I got on that bus, I remember thinking, this is crazy. I don't know these people. And some of those people I'm still really good friends with to this day.
That's awesome. And what was the
Yeah.
name of that rafting company?
It was called Esprit Rafting.
It's exact. And who
Yeah.
who was the guy who was in charge of that? What was
Jim
his name?
Coffey.
Jim Coffey.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Because
Yep.
that's how Ann and I first met was
Yeah,
in
it's true.
Mexico. Were you working for Esprit at the time? So this would have been fall of
Yeah.
'99.
Okay. That I was working for, no, I was working for one of the Mexican rafting companies as a guide
Okay.
manager,
Yeah.
a co-guide manager with my boyfriend at the time, actually. And yeah, so and can't, I feel like the name of the company was Rios Tropicales. No,
Okay. That sounds.
that's the Costa Rican.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Okay. I can't remember.
Yeah.
I'd gotten my first ever job doing adventure travel.
Yeah. For
Bill
NOC,
Hester. Well, no, it
right?
wasn't
No?
the
Oh,
NOC. I mean,
I thought it
it
was.
was same thing. Like I was always knocking on Bill Hester's door, like, let me lead adventure travel. And he was basically like, you're not good enough yet. And he was like, but I know a guy in Mexico who needs a safety kayaker.
Mm,
And he put me in touch with, I just still remember the guy's first name was Giovanni. And
okay.
I went,
Yes.
he had like a place up on top of the mountain basically,
Right.
and I went and safety kayak for him. But how we met was through Jim Coffey and Esprit. There was a rafting race and they needed safety kayakers, and you and I were at the bottom of this rapid safety kayaking, and yeah,
Right.
that's how we met. And then um, found out that you were starting to paddle for Dagger, and I was as well. And then that next spring when I got back, um, Dagger was taking forever to get me my boat, and you gave me your centrifuge prototype to use.
Yes, that's right.
You remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Like
The
it had like
centrifuge. Yeah,
duct
because
tape on cockpit.
yeah, that was pretty typical back then.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, so that was an adventure race, right? It wasn't a kayak race. Was it a
Oh, yeah, I think you're
it was
right.
an
Yeah,
adventure race. Yeah.
yeah. I had in my head that it was like a raft race, but you're right. It was an
Right.
adventure race, and there
I
was like a
think
swimming section
yeah,
where they would swim the river or across the river.
totally.
You're
Fun
exactly right.
times.
It was long, long time ago. I remember walking the streets, and I always butcher the pronunciation of the little town. So go ahead and tell me.
Halkomulko.
Halkomoko, yeah.
Yeah.
For some reason, always want to say Holakomoko. I always want to add, but
Yeah.
we were walking the streets of the town, and you're like, "So what brought you here?" And I was like, "I'm here to train to make the U.S. freestyle team." And you're like, "Well, you came to the wrong place because there's no there's
There's
no
no
freestyle
freestyle. I
here."
know.
And I was like, "Well, okay, I guess I'm also here to get international experience and practice
Yeah.
my Spanish." And you're like, "Well, you could do those things, but you're not gonna. You're
Yeah,
lucky we found it."
there wasn't a lot of freestyle, but you could paddle a lot all the time, and that,
Sure.
you know, there's something to be said for being in a boat all the time,
I
for
think so
sure.
too. I mean, you look now, a lot of the people who are now, there's just obviously some people who are training year round and that's all they do, but there's a lot of people who will creek boat, 8, 9 months out of the year and then still are, doing really well in freestyle.
Mm.
And that area down there kind of exploded, right? I mean, now like so many people have explored and found just tons of rivers in Mexico.
Yeah, well, there always were a lot, and actually, the guest I just interviewed, Sofia Reynoso, who's a Olympian from Mexico in slalom,
Mm,
and her family started the Aventurec, which is over on the Alsa Seca,
hmm.
and that's a really fun river, which you probably didn't paddle at the time because I didn't paddle it actually until I started running trips in Mexico like several years later.
Mm,
Anyway, it's super cool. Lots of drops, creaky,
okay.
lots of
Yeah.
waterfalls.
Yeah, that everything I ran was either like class 3, 4 big water
Yeah,
there. Like the Pescados, is that
yeah.
those ones around?
Pescados and the Antigua,
Antigua, yeah, those are the two main ones.
Actopan,
Yep,
Barranca Grande.
Barraca Grande. Me and
Hmm.
Matt Jennings ran that as an overnighter.
Yep, so pretty.
Yeah. Let's eddy out and take a quick break. Do you need a break from the cold of a North American winter? Then let's head south to the best whitewater on earth at Pecan Kayak Retreat. Email me at bflowkayak@gmail.com to learn more about how you can take the ultimate paddling adventure in the heart of Chile. Now let's peel out and head downstream. So, what about so you talked about finding your flow and how you got started in kayaking and things. Tell me about a time. This is perfect flow, a time when everything just went perfect on the river for you.
Okay, one story that stands out is after the 1999 World Championships, Freestyle World Championships in New Zealand. Uh, we were camping with, of course, the cool thing about the World Championships is all the cool people from around the world you get to meet and go
Sure.
paddle with. And we were running the Kaituna River, which is a class 3, 4 and has a 25-foot waterfall on it. It's very famous. And so we'd been running that. And a group of us had planned a moonlight run, a midnight run.
Mm.
And when it came time to leave, I was like, it was very cloudy, and I was like, I don't think there's a moon out. Is this still a good idea? And everyone was like, yeah, of course. You're with all the amazing boaters having
Right.
fun. Like, yeah, don't worry about it. And I was like, okay. And we put on, and it still was cloudy, but you could see enough and start paddling down. And the canyon in there has glowworms. It
Mm.
gets really narrow and really and tall, and the paddling into the canyon with all the glowworms was just so beautiful. And it was such a fun paddle. And above the waterfall, we've all pulled over in an eddy, obviously, to stage. And I remember Andy Phillips, he's a British boater. He was super pumped. He's like, remember, there's the wave that you key off of to get your angle just right, and then you just soar, you know. And I got really pumped, and I was looking hard for the wave, you know, and you could see, even though the moon wasn't super bright, you could definitely see the whitewater. And I
Right.
lined up just so sweet. And I had I swear, a dry hairline. Like, just took my boof stroke and just soared and landed, and like didn't even get my face wet. I was just
Wow.
blown away. I was like, maybe I should start paddling with my eyes closed or something, because like maybe the dark is a good strategy for me. And then we kept paddling down. There's other little drops, and then at the time, I don't know if this is true still, there was a nice play hole, and we were in ultrafuges. Like, that was the
Mhm.
time of the ultrafuge, and so we were, you could cartwheel forever, and we had an awesome play session in the hole. It was just so fun and beautiful, fantastic people. Yeah, I have really fond memories of that.
That's amazing. Um, so that was the 99 Worlds. Was that your first Worlds?
It was.
And then how many, multiple years in a row you were representing Canada. How many
Yeah.
Worlds did you compete in?
I competed in New Zealand, Spain, only three: New Zealand,
Okay.
Spain, and Austria.
Okay.
Yeah. And then yeah, and then I was on the Canadian freestyle team for 5 years, uh, doing what is now called World Cup in
Hmm.
between worlds. Back then it was called the pre-world championships. So,
Right.
but yeah, I don't know. New Zealand, Spain, Austria. Yeah, unless I'm missing one, but those were the ones that I competed in.
Okay. Very cool.
Hmm.
And if memory serves me right, I'm gonna for some reason I have this in my head, so I'm just gonna throw it out there and see if it sticks. Is the 2003 Worlds in Austria is when you met this awesome paddler from the U.S. You may have already met him before, but like, is that when
You mean he
this
met me?
he met you?
No, that was in 2001.
That was in one. Okay, but
That was
at
in
Worlds, right?
That was, yeah, that was in Spain. That it was
Okay,
actually at pre-worlds. I
okay.
I
So
cut him
2000.
off. We were all training. It was me, Keith Lyles, Kelly, Andrew, and it was before um team slots for training. So we were all
Right.
just, because I was Canadian, they were US team, and I was like, I'm gonna cut you in line, and I cut him in line, and I had like an amazing ride, and I came back in the end. I was like, I'm gonna cut you in line all the time if I can have that kind of ride. Yep, that's how it all started.
That's how it all started. And
Hmm.
how long have you all been married?
We've been married um 18 years. It'll be, yeah, 18 years.
Okay. And Andrew has been a guest on B-Flow sessions as well. So
That's
you guys
right.
have the privilege of being the only married couple that I've had so far. So
Right on.
18 years. That's amazing.
Yeah, but we've
Um,
been together since 2001, so
okay.
yeah, it's a long time. That's why it took me so long to answer.
Because yeah, it's been a lot. Yeah. My wife and I celebrated our 20th anniversary this summer. And yeah,
Woohoo.
when your relationship is older than people who, it could get its own, it can drink legally, right?
That's
That's when
right.
it's old. Um, what about low flow? Or no, sorry, not low flow yet. I want to know about flood. So I call this section flood. This is when things did not go well in the boat.
Um, I okay, things did not go well. Okay, one was we were paddling Mill Creek in West Virginia. It's a class 4 creek with that, and then I think it has a class 4 or 5 section towards the end. It has this 20-foot waterfall, which is really fun, or at the time it did. And I was paddling with Jimmy Blakeney and a couple other folks. And Jimmy knows, like, he was local at the time. He lived there and he knew it really well. But the water, they had just had really high water. So we were like, following along and kind of, running together. And there was one spot where there was just a little kind of FU rock that had moved, and it shanked. What I could see in front of me was Jimmy was underneath an overhanging rock. Like he got
Mm.
shanked over there and was like moving through it. And I was like, oh crap. So I thought I could avoid it, but I also hit it and made the mistake of leaning away from it. Like it's so
Mm.
funny because I totally knew better, but and so I leaned away from it. My paddle got broached. I was under the water, pinned upside down, um, in this overhang, and I didn't know if I didn't know if it was an undercut rock. I didn't see Jimmy come out. I just saw I
Mm.
saw him. And so, for me, time really slowed down and I was super stable. And I was like, okay, well, if I stay here like this, I'm going to drown. So
Right.
this is not an option. And I could feel, so I took my knees out, felt my cockpit, pulled my skirt, and I gave myself like, okay, here we go. Like you got to try and jump out away from the rock as far as
Right.
possible. And when I pulled my skirt and pulled on my boat, my head came out of the water, so I got a good breath, looked around a little bit, saw my paddle broach still, and could see then that it was like, yeah, a big overhang. And then I got sucked under, and I was like, okay, well, here we go. I'm either going to come out or I'm not. And I did.
Mm.
Yay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
swam over the next drop, which wasn't awesome, but got back to my boat. And then chose to walk the harder rapids downstream.
Mm.
But yeah, I was pretty revved up after that. So that was not an ideal situation. It was pretty scary, but I also didn't let me scare me away from kayaking. I'm kayaking class 4 or 5 at the time. So
Well, that's I love the way you ended that because that's exactly what I was going to ask you. So many paddlers, whenever they have something like that, it rocks their confidence. And obviously, kayaking is about skill, but also the mental side of it. And I know you
yeah.
do so much work with people about the mental side of things. In that moment, or the next day, or whenever you were back in the river, how did you handle that from a mental standpoint?
Well, I was processing, like, I really paid attention to how it was feeling in my body. Like, it was so revved up. And I always had a yoga practice. So I'm sure I brought that. I don't remember exactly, but I'm sure I brought that in because I've had a yoga meditation practice for decades now.
Right.
And then I, I would say I've always been a nervous paddler. It's why I do what I do.
Mm.
In that particular case, I didn't feel like, besides the terrible choice of like leaning upstream, it wasn't because I missed my line. It was because a rapid had changed. You know what I mean? And we
Right.
all like hit it. There's 3 of us, I think. Oh, and what I forgot was that the guy after me actually also hit me, but I was there. So he pushed me deeper into the overhang and got clear. So
Mm.
it wasn't like I was like, oh, I suck. Like, I can't
Right.
believe I
Sure.
missed my line and this happened. So I think that was a little bit easier to come by. And it did make me probably a little more cautious and paying attention. The other story that I think is funny that Andrew reminded me of earlier was we were surfing Skookumchuck out west, tidal wave
Hmm.
on the coast of British Columbia. Super fun. And there's
Right.
huge whirlpools like below it. And of course, at the time, Clay was there, Brian Kirk, Andrew, like a ton of people. And we're all pretty young. And
Hmm.
once you got washed off the wave, no one was paying attention. Like,
Right.
like you were going, it was called the tour. It's probably still called the tour. And like, because you'd have to go way down through the boils, paddle your butt off to not get sucked in. I was in a G-Force 5'9", a really small boat. And my skirt imploded after I had flushed off the wave. And I look up and I'm starting to sink and I'm trying to paddle. Like I was like, I do not want to swim here. And I was trying super hard to get to the eddy. And I looked up and I could see Clay and everyone. They're just chit chatting. No one's looking at me. And it was starting to get dark, of course, like all the wrong choices. And I could see Brian Kirk paddling up the eddy, and it was so dramatic. I screamed though, because I was like, no one knows that I'm
Right.
swimming. So I was screaming like, Brian, help me. Like, so, and I could see him paddling, and then I see him turn towards me, and then I saw him start paddling really, really fast. So I was like, okay, he saw me. And
Right.
I hung on to my boat for dear life, like, because I was getting sucked down. Eventually, I had to get out of my boat. I truly tried to swim, to paddle myself to shore full of water,
Right.
and then Brian let folks know, and so then a bunch, people came down, and all was good. But that was a bummer.
Yeah. I think,
But I
gosh,
still got back in. I got a better spray skirt.
yeah, good call. I think I remember that story. I think I remember you for somehow telling me that story before. It's so funny, like in big water like that, if your skirt implodes or there's something going wrong, you're like, I don't want to be out of my boat.
Right.
But creaking, like let's say you get pinned or something's happening, you're like,
Yeah.
I got to get out of my boat.
Right.
You know,
It's
so
true. Yeah.
it's like in some regards, the boat is like where you want. I mean, you always want to be in the boat, but when things go wrong, creaking, sometimes you're just
Yeah.
like, I need to get out of this boat and away from it as quickly as possible. Uh,
Totally.
but not the case in big boils and those whirlpools for sure.
Not if it's going to float you any amount of time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now you've been experiencing some low flow, and I don't know in your career if you've had other moments like this. I mean, probably not to this extreme, but I ask people about low flow times they've been away from kayaking for either by choice or by job or whatever the case, and most recently for you injury. Talk about that and how you've navigated that mentally.
Yeah, I'm in it. I'm 5 months in, no kayaking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I herniated a disc, S1L5, back in May. And it has been the most humbling experience of my life, for sure. One, because I thought I was doing all the right things. And yeah, there's, different factors. So that was frustrating. Part of it was because I was too cocky about the fact that I was doing all the right things, or I thought I
Mhm.
was, and so I wasn't paying enough attention. So that's like a little bit of an identity crisis. And then you get past that, and it's been a gradual letting go. Like, oh, maybe it's not. Well, the pain was excruciating for
Sure.
sure. Oh my goodness, and but because I've been so healthy, and this is my first major injury that's keeping me out for months at a
Mhm.
time. I had one other, but it was nothing like this, and I could heal myself like very quick, much quicker.
Right.
And so, getting real with myself. Like at first I was like, oh, maybe it'll only take me 3 months, or maybe or like when the pain lasted every day for like 2.5, 3, like now I have a lot more empathy for folks like with chronic pain because I actually know
Sure.
I have a taste of what that feels like. And
Right.
it is hard on your mind. And it's also, so what I would do is one, easy moves in easy water.
Hmm.
Like if all I could do was lie on the floor, especially the first couple of months, take very slow walks that were a little painful. Like I did what I could while not exacerbating everything.
Right.
And then from a mindset perspective, I would completely accept where I was, and
Mhm.
I would focus on thinking about how do I want to feel at the end of this, and really
Right.
feeling like, okay, what would it feel like to have freedom in my body again? What would it feel like to have more strength, core strength supporting my spine, and really bringing that mental in, as well as like radical acceptance. Like, this is what's happening. And I'm really grateful that I have a lot of support. I still was very active. And you know what? Thank goodness that I stand up paddleboard,
Yeah.
and I'm also a stand up paddleboard instructor trainer. So I have a
Right.
lot of experience in flat water on stand up, and stand up paddleboarding is excellent for herniated discs and
Wow.
healing them and growing core strength. As long as you know how to, you have some technique, just like
Right.
anything. But I've been doing a lot of that. So I've actually paddled some whitewater on my stand up board, kneeling.
Right.
I've been able to teach some courses on my stand up board. I live close to the French Broad, a little class 1 section where I can go and paddle. So it's allowed me to get on the water, and I'm grateful. But easy moves and easy water, and don't stop moving when you can.
Right. Yeah. You know, if anybody's ever listened to Anna's podcast, she has a segment at the end of hers, like a rapid fire section, and she asked about a morning ritual that people have. And I got a chuckle out of Anna when I gave my response, which was just a Diet Coke and a hot shower.
Yeah.
I want you to know that watching some of your videos and my journey now starting back into kayaking, that's no longer my morning ritual. I no longer drink Diet Cokes. I've taken those out of my life, and I do this guy I found on Instagram. I don't know if they're really called this, but it's like the Tibetan lymphatic movements, like the
Oh, yeah.
big, huge arm movements and stuff. So I do those every morning when I get up now, instead
Cool.
of the Diet Coke. So, um,
How
yeah,
does it feel?
amazing. Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
great.
and then I do 10 minutes of yoga at night before bed. And I know you as a 20-year yoga instructor, you're probably like 10 minutes ain't enough, but it's more than
Oh,
I was
no.
doing before. So,
Yeah.
you definitely inspired me there to start taking care of my body better if I'm going to get back in a boat.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, good for you. No, I always say consistent, small, consistent actions over time are what make the biggest difference. And I always encourage my clients, especially because there are a lot of high performer. I work with a lot of high performers, and it can
Sure.
be really easy to fall into the all or nothing attitude where, oh, if I can't work out for an hour and a half, then it's not worth it. I mean, I, I remember a mountain biker once told me, like, oh, if you can't go out for a 2 hour ride, then what's the point? It's like, well, there's a lot of point, you
Right.
know? And I think that what happens with the all or nothing attitude is that's when people stop doing. It's like, oh, it's not
Yeah.
worth kayaking unless I can do. And I see that. And it's okay. Everyone has their own journey and makes their own choices, which is fine. But I've seen folks who paddle class 4 or 5 and they can't, when they are ready to, or they don't feel like they want to paddle that, then they stop kayaking completely instead of finding the joy in
Yeah.
class 3, class 2, or doing something else on the water. And again, it's their choice. Maybe they're done with it. However, I think part of it sometimes is that all or nothing that
Yeah,
keeps us kind of stuck and takes the joy out of it.
for sure. Yeah, I can relate to that a lot. Um, Flow mentors, who have been some of the mentors that have kind of guided you in kayaking and taught you and showed you the way?
Mm,
You've been a mentor to probably
yeah.
hundreds of people, but who's been some of your mentors?
Well, my first mentor, her name was Karen Lacombe. She was the head of kayak school at New World Rafting, where I worked in the kitchen.
Mm.
And I would beg her to teach me, and she would let me shadow her kayak courses when I had my days off.
Oh,
And
cool.
I learned a ton from her. And actually, she also worked, they had this tiki bar by the pool, and I feel like she would work, and then I would be trying to do my role in the pool. She would shout instructions. Um, and then, the other person who made the biggest impact on my paddling is Mark Moore. He
Mm.
was an instructor trainer, an ACA instructor trainer in the DC area. And I took my first ACA instructor course from him.
Okay.
This is 96. And I just thought I was the shit because I
Right.
paddled the new, I paddled the golly. And so I'm taking this instructor course. It was, yeah, cocky. I think it was like my first or second year of boating. And he, there were 3 levels at the time. There was flat water, flat water, moving water, white water. I was
Yeah.
paddling class 4. I was paddling the upper golly. And then he started asking us, as I do now as an IT, like, okay, How are you teaching? Can you catch this eddy, this really teeny micro eddy really smoothly? All these precision moves, like show me your technique. And almost all of us in the class, like, couldn't do what he was asking. And it was very
Right.
humbling. And I got certified in flat water. That was
Mm.
he certified me as a flat water instructor because I didn't have the skills yet to do moving water or white water. And I hadn't really taught anything either. And that really, will always be grateful for him. And I tell him this because by him being real with me, and he didn't care like my ego or whatever, he gave me the certification at the level that I was at, and that lit a fire under me, and I practiced everything he taught me.
Mm.
Like in between the rapids, I was working on my forward stroke and my core engagement, and I think that because of that, I worked so hard on my paddling that's what got me to where I could get enough to compete and run hard stuff.
That's awesome. What about flow advice? So I want you to think about two groups of people here. One, the beginner paddler, and another one, I see a lot of people my age who kind of in my situation that are getting back into the sport who used to be in the sport at various levels. So the beginner paddler and the returning older grayer paddler.
My advice?
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. Flow advice
Yeah,
to those
for the
people.
beginner. Yeah, for the beginner, I would say take instruction. I'm biased,
Hmm.
of course, but get some foundations. If you
Yeah.
can get solid foundations right from the beginning, you're going to be building on solid foundations, right? You've
Yeah.
got to find your core. It's just like exercise. If you have a weak core and you're just trying to build muscle mass on top of it, you're not going to be solid, right?
Hmm.
And so get instruction. And there are awesome instructors in clubs around the country, which is fantastic. And I also encourage folks to take at least once in your paddling journey to take instruction from a professional instructor,
Yeah.
someone who's dedicated. There are several of us out there, right? Because, I had one client say, yeah, taking one day of instruction with you is like taking 3 or 4 with someone else.
Sure.
And it's, because when you're doing it as your profession all the time, yeah, there's certain things you see more quickly. And I think that, so yeah, I think not only take instruction, start out in your club, amazing. There's amazing instructors there, and take instruction from a professional instructor.
Hmm. What
That's
about
for
the
the
person
beginners.
returning to the sport?
I would say I work with folks. So you've got to let go of how it used to be. Number
Hmm.
one. Like you can't hang on to like how you used to paddle. I mean, I can't hang on to how I used to paddle.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But especially if you've taken time away and have a beginner mindset,
Hmm.
even though you know a lot, and as you're experiencing like all that, you know, they call it muscle memory. There's not really, muscles don't really have memory, but you know what I mean? Like
Right.
you get back and you're like, oh, I remember this, and it's great. And like, don't expect yourself to be at that same level, and be willing to have a beginner mindset and remember the basics, and yeah, and work on that. And then definitely, I mean, I'm learning this from just, I'm having to relearn how to engage my core from this injury. Like core strength is the key, is what
Yeah.
I'm remembering and reminded and learning, and not taking that for granted, because sitting and twisting, the position of kayaking is really hard on the body over time.
Right.
And if you're coming back in your 40s, 50s, which is great, like, yay, I work with a lot of my clients are starting kayaking for the first time in their 50s and 60s. It's great. Anyone
That's
can
awesome.
learn,
Yeah.
but be aware of strengthening the core and doing like Like when I was 20, I never did cross training. I mean, now
Right.
probably now people do because there's more information out there.
Right.
But yeah, I think it's important to, that's what I would say. Have a
Awesome.
beginner mindset and pay a lot of attention to your body and strengthening your core.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so my rapid fire section I call the rapids. So we're going to run the rapids, but this is a Mount Rushmore type of thing. So I'm going to give you a topic,
Okay.
and you're going to give me your Mount Rushmore of this topic.
Okay. What does that mean? What does Mount Rushmore of a
So
topic
Mount
mean?
Rushmore. So like I don't know if they are, but like people say, I mean, obviously, even though you're Canadian, you know what Mount Rushmore is, and so
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
yeah, but like, is it the best four presidents of all time? I mean, who knows? Maybe. But when people say the
Okay.
Mount
Gotcha.
Rushmore of basketball players or the Mount Rushmore of, I don't know, cars or whatever, you're saying it's like the four greatest in your mind. It could be your four favorite or just
Okay.
what you
Okay.
think is the four best. So, and then you could do like three to
Okay.
five, or
That's
like
going to be
maybe
hard.
there's just one. All right.
Okay.
So the first topic is kayak designs.
The four best kayak designs.
Your or your
Okay.
or your favorites.
From my
Hmm.
time, from when I started paddling, I think the Triple X
Mm.
completely transformed women's paddling. I mean, women
Yep.
started to throw down in that boat.
Yeah.
Amazing. I never actually paddled it because I didn't paddle for wave sport. I paddled for Dagger.
Right.
So then the Ultrafuge on Dagger's side was one of my
Hmm.
favorites. Loved it so much. And then um, I I don't know of favorite boats of all time. I would say okay, the in that same vein, which is hilarious, the Nova.
Hmm.
I love that boat, the Dagger
Yeah.
Nova. This is for me. I'm just answering my favorites.
Yeah. That's what I want to
And
hear.
then uh I am loving the super bow rocker. And so I would have to say, like, I've been having so much fun in the Jackson Flow and the Jackson Nirvana recently in terms of creek boat and like river
Yeah.
running boats. They just fly, and I've been just having a lot of fun with that.
That's awesome.
But
What about?
it's a hard question, Brad.
Well, of course, I'm not out here
Like I'm
throwing
sure I'm
throwing.
gonna
I'm
get
not here
off and
throwing
like,
softballs. I'm here to put you on the
oh, the
spot and
G
give you the.
force.
Ah,
Yeah.
yes.
The G Force too. The G
Yeah.
Force. That also transformed paddling because it was the first little bouncy boat.
Yeah.
That was such a fun boat.
I love that boat. Yeah. I. It's
Yeah.
between that and the Kingpin for me. Like my favorite Dagger playboat of all time. I
Oh,
don't
the
know which one.
Kingpin was good too.
Yeah. Okay,
See, there's so
rivers of all
many.
time. I know, but I mean, these are the hard hitting questions that the folks want to know about.
Oh boy, do they though? Do they want to
I,
know?
I don't know. At least
I'm sure they do.
hopefully Andrew will listen to this episode. Maybe we'll have one listener now. And with you being on here, we're gonna have hundreds and hundreds of listeners because you have quite
Oh
the following.
no.
Um, all right.
Okay,
So
so
the next topic is
rivers.
rivers of all time. Yeah.
Okay, Ottawa for sure.
Yep.
Ottawa is just I love it. Upper Golly, love it. Um, I have to put the green like before pre-Helene green. I
Yeah.
loved paddling the green. It was like so fun, and it
Hmm.
kept me like yeah on my toes and just yeah. And then I don't know. Um, I don't know. I'm like there's so many. I'm stumped on the fourth one. I
Okay.
don't know
I'll
why,
I'll
but
I'll let you have three. I'll allow it.
There's got to be more. I've paddled like literally hundreds of rivers.
And if anybody out there is listening to several of these episodes and wonder if like it sounds like I'm giving a big sister a hard way to go here and not like how I would
It's
interview a
good.
regular guest, it's because it's like it's bringing me back to when we used to like travel a little bit. I would like I feel like I would tease you on purpose because you would always look at me like you're such an idiot. So it just encouraged me to like give you a hard time even more. So so that's why
That's
I'm having
so
fun with you.
funny, right?
Um, the next one is a river that you've never done but you want to do.
Ew, I'd like to do the Socha in Slovenia. It looks like
Hmm.
beautiful water. I've always been drawn, so I'd like to do, and I love paddling in Europe. And then the other one I'm going to because I'm running a trip to India, uh, paddling and Ayurveda trip in March to India, the headwaters of the Ganges, which I think is going to be really fun. So
That's amazing.
I'm looking forward to that. I've never been there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. Um, what about countries? You've paddled in probably, I mean, dozens and dozens of countries. If you could pick your top three or
Yeah.
four favorite countries to paddle in.
My four favorite are Canada, US, Costa Rica. I love running my Costa Rica trips in the winter there. It's so
Hmm.
fun. And probably, that's a tough one too, but probably Chile. I just went back there um, for like the third time, and I hadn't been in like 20 years. And
Mm,
man, and I was in the Pucón area and did minimal kayaking actually. And man, I was like, oh yeah, this place is awesome. I'd love to
it's
get
pretty
back to
awesome.
the Fuda too.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, this was the controversial one. I'm gonna put you on the spot. Kayakers of all time.
Okay. Oh gosh. Kayakers of all time. I am going to go with, I'm going to do the uh, female kayaker version. Not that
Good.
it should
Yeah.
be separated. So
No,
I'm
no.
just going to, these are mine. Yeah, I'm going to get
Both things are
flack for
true.
saying it. Yeah, for saying that. So,
I
okay.
like it. Go. Yeah, like it.
Nikki Kelly,
Hmm.
Buffy Burge, um, I'm trying to think like overall, like for me, um, probably Marianne Sather,
Mm.
and um, for me it would be um, gosh, I am getting stumped here. Like maybe Sage Donnelly actually, because she
Okay.
is like I'm thinking of like overall. I'm thinking they can freestyle, they can in their time, and they can
Yeah.
run big rivers, and
She
they're
also made the
really
slalom team.
nice and cool and
Yeah.
inclusive.
Yeah. Just met Sage on the podcast just a couple episodes ago. So
What's
that was
that?
really. I got to meet Sage. She was a guest on the podcast. It
What's
was my
that?
first. Are you there?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
she
Sorry,
was
we had to.
awesome.
Yeah,
Yep,
you got to
I
meet
do
her for the
remember.
first time. We had she was on a guest on the show, so it was really cool.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, the last question
Oh,
is.
and then Heidi, but then a new one too. Sorry,
No,
I
go
would
ahead.
add
Yep,
Heidi
yep.
Walsh too, but
Okay.
she's new. She's like not. She's young, so well, so
Right.
is Sage. But anyway, Okay, I'm botching this. Okay, moving on.
That's okay. That's okay. No, it's this conversation. It's great. The last question is final flow. And this is where, if you think about it, we've done a lot of things in life for the last time. And most of the time, we didn't know it was the last time. But if the river goddesses came down and they said, Anna, the bad news is this is your last time ever in a kayak. But the good news is you get to be in any boat you want. you get to be on any river you want, and you get to have anybody on the river with you.
Okay. Um, all right. The Ottawa
Mm,
at negative, what is it when Garb is in like negative three quarters? I can't remember exact, but when Garb is in, corner wave is in, push button is in, and I'd be in a Rockstar 5, and I would have all, my Canadian friends, but also I just put it out to people. Like, and I know a lot of people. I'd be like, "Hey, let's go have a play sesh," but not too many, I guess, because then the Eddie would be
yeah.
too full. But no, yeah, and I just put it out, and of course, my husband and yeah, some of my longtime friends and new friends, and just the Ottawa has such a fun vibe. Like it's just class fun and awesome.
Class
So
fun. I like that. It's class fun. It is for
yeah.
sure. Well, Anna, thanks so much for being on the show with me, and thanks for continuing to inspire so many people, both in kayaking and just people in general, with everything that you're doing through your podcast
I
and your mental agility work.
I didn't hear what you just said, Brad. Sorry.
That's okay.
Your
Can you hear me now?
I can Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. I was just saying, thanks so much for being on B-Flow Sessions and for everything that you do, both in paddling, but also in the
Mm.
mental health space and inspiring so many people out there.
Thanks, Brad. I appreciate it. I appreciate congrats on the podcast. It's awesome. I'm so stoked that you're stoked at getting back into paddling and going for it, and doing the podcast is great. So,
Yeah, it's giving me a fun
thanks for
avenue to
having me.
reconnect with people. Yeah. Thanks for being on it.
Right? Yeah.
All right. Well, I hope to see you back on the water soon when that back fully gets healed.
Yeah, me too. That'll be awesome.
Thanks for listening to this episode of B-Flow Sessions. Please take a moment and rate the show, give it a follow, and leave a comment. Also, if you could share it with your fans, your friends, your family, and everybody else you know in the paddling world, that would help the show grow and help more paddlers find and be in the flow.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of B-Flow Sessions, where we explore how paddlers find their flow on the water and in life. If you enjoyed this episode, please follow the show, leave a rating, or share it with a friend. It truly helps us grow the community. And a huge thank you to Pucón Kayak Retreat for sponsoring today's episode. If you're ready for a world-class Chilean whitewater adventure, email me at bflowkayak@gmail.com and I'll help you get dialed in. Until next time, keep finding your flow.